Desmond, I want to bring you back in just in terms of if this deal does in fact go through, if these reports are correct. Do you think that this will help boost some of the capex spending that we've been talking about, the fact that that hasn't been there over the last couple of months? It's been something that has been kept on the sideline. Do you think that that could help steer capex spending in the right direction?
Yes, certainly, that what's been holding capex back the whole of last year was this whole trade war, that with so much uncertainty as to what the trade regime was going to be, investors really just held back. You would have expected that the investors would have been on a tear given the very generous tax breaks they got in 2017, a favorable economy. It was surprising that capex did so badly, and the fact that was holding it back was a trade uncertainty. So I would see this really very positive for the U.S. economy in 2020.
So then, Desmond, is it fair to say, do you look positively then at where we are currently, where we are at right now in terms of the economy?
Yes, but there are other risks out there. We've got today, for instance, there's an election in the United Kingdom. If that election doesn't go in the right way, that could be a risk. We're seeing slowing in Germany. What we're also seeing is we're seeing in Latin America, there's a political crisis that now has already affected countries like Chile, Colombia, Bolivia. There's danger that that might spill over into Brazil. So there's a lot going on in the global economy that one has to keep an eye on. But if you look at this trade item in isolation, it's unambiguously good news.
Brian Chung, I want to bring you back in here just in terms of getting a little bit more color on this. When we look at what has been going on in terms of whether or not a trade deal is already priced into the market, Brian, do you think that if we were to continue to get some of the headlines going into the weekend, investors still have to figure out what they're going to do Monday? Is it kind of a risk-off situation until then, do you think?
Well, I mean, we're already approaching the end of the week, but I think for many investors, they had already been expecting at least some sort of resolution that would have, if for nothing, kicked the can down the road. There was not a real expectation in markets that nothing would have been done and that we would have hit that trade deadline on December 15, which is not tomorrow, as I may have inadvertently said earlier. It's actually on Monday. So there is that concern, I think, that people were, maybe pricing in slightly, but regardless, it seems like it hasn't really been the case. Something worth watching, though, is, however, the 10-year bond right now is spiking crazy. The yield has actually gone up to 1.92. That's a 7.3% increase. I think just below 7% now. So when you look at the yield spiking like this, that does show a lot of outflow from fixed income markets, which means that people are recirculating assets maybe somewhere else. It could be going into equities, which would explain some of the surge that we've seen in the Dow Jones and the S&P 500 so far. So worth watching that, in addition to the USD Chinese yuan conversion rate actually at 6.95 right now. That's a decline of over 1%. So a lot of change in FX markets going on as well.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are. Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.